We're back with Representative Brian Schatz, member of the House of Representatives for the state of Hawaii.
So, Brian, a lot of people, actually not a lot of people, but one of the main people in nonprofits said that the best nonprofit CEOs could run any Fortune 500 company, but the best CEOs in Fortune 500 companies couldn't always run the nonprofits. What do you think about that?
Well, I would love to think that I could run a big not-for-profit or a big Fortune 500 company, but I think that, the point is really well taken that not-for-profit administration, if done properly, is business administration. I mean, it is supervising a business, it's managing cash flow, it's dealing with personnel issues, it's strategic planning, it's operations. And so those who think that not-for-profits should be run day to day any differently than for-profits, I think are actually wrong. And that's one of the problems, in my view, in the not-for-profit community, is that until recently there was a sense that there should be less rigor, less seriousness, maybe even less focus on money than in the for-profit community. And my view is that that's dead wrong. Not-for-profits should be watching their cash flow. Not-for-profits should be trying to generate as much revenue as possible. They should be cold-hearted when appropriate about what's working and what's not. They should run the place like a business. Now, there are moments where the core of your business should dictate the kinds of decisions that you make. Let me give you an example. We had an opportunity at Helping Hands to take on a piece of business that would have increased our gross revenue by about 35% in 1 year. And we didn't think it was this was in psychiatric services. And I talked to my clinical people, and all of them, to a person, there were about 9 people who weighed in on this question, and all of them said, this isn't the right clinical model. This is not the best thing for the clients. And we talked to our financial people and said, whew, profitable though. And we had a very long discussion about what do we do here? I mean, here's this extraordinarily profitable opportunity, and yet it's really not what we believe is best for the people that we serve. And so we made one of the decisions that I was the most proud of in my 4.5, 5 years at Helping Hands, and that is we actually turned down a huge piece of business. And that's because we are a not-for-profit and we're allowed to do that. If you are a for-profit, especially if you're a publicly traded company, you have a fiduciary obligation to maximize revenues and to make as much money as possible for your shareholders. Our obligation is different. Our obligation is to the people that we serve to do the best job that we can. And so while we were business-like, exactly like a for-profit corporation all the way up until that point, the difference is that we were in a position to turn down revenue when we didn't think it was in the best interest of our clients. And so it's one of those decisions nobody heard about, but our team was very proud to have made that decision. It did sting a little, and there are moments where I think, oh, we could have been so much bigger, but that's not what it's about. I used to run a very small with my wife. I used to run a very small business, and I would always go around saying, we're not a not-for-profit, because my point was we're always giving stuff away. And now I have to go in my non-profit and say, we're not for profit. And so, you always want to strike that balance, because you have a tendency in for-profit businesses to give it away, and you have a tendency in not-for-profit businesses to try to grab every piece of revenue that you can. So it's always a matter of balance.
Brian, you got involved in public service at a young age. What message could you give to our young listeners out there about getting involved in public service?
Well, I think one of the questions that people always have for me is that, and this frankly occurs with adults as well as with kids, the problems of the world and the problems of the state of Hawaii and even the problems in individual communities are often so overwhelming that it's difficult to figure out where to start. If you're not already plugged into an organization or some kind of avenue to make a difference, you get this, well, what do I do? I mean, I'm mad about the war, or I want more entrepreneurs in the state of Hawaii, or gosh, I want to clean the beaches. People don't know where to start. And I have a saying that I give to kids, and then I realized that it works actually for adults just as well. And it's start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. And it's just to say that change in this world is, generally speaking, incremental, and it's hard work, and it's not always glamorous. So it is about making a change wherever you're in a position to make a change. It's not about saying, I hate this Iraq war and therefore I'm going to stand on the street corner. It's not about saying, I'm so mad about the sewage spill that I can't even see straight. It's about figuring out a way to go in the direction that you're trying to go. And so for me, it was starting a not-for-profit organization. And then ultimately, I realized that I was passionate about certain political issues, so I ran, and so everybody has to figure out where they are and what they have, and then just take some action in the direction of making a difference. It doesn't have to, sort of bite off the whole half the apple. Just take a little chunk out, and you can make a difference. And I think it becomes addicting once you start to make even the smallest bit of difference, positive difference in your community and in your state and your nation, then you sort of can't stop. And I think you both know about that. There's this feeling, hey, we're making a difference. We might not be solving every problem in the world, but we're not on our butts anymore, and that's the main thing.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.